Welcome back to this special Women's Day edition of Daytime Update, and we're going to focus now on the role of women in education and academia. We can speak to Unisa Vice-Chancellor, Professor Puleng LenkaBula. Prof, a very good afternoon to you. Welcome back to Newzroom Afrika. So, 66 years since women marched on the union buildings in Pretoria, where you are actually today, against the oppressive apartheid pass laws. How would you describe your experience as a South African woman in this country today?
Thank you very much, Temekile. I want to state that the struggle and the march that the women who went to the city of Tshwane, as we would like to remember its African name, were agitating for a cause that in 1912, when the first liberation movement was set out, had already built some foundation. Generally, the livelihoods of women are under attack. And when we talk about gender-based violence in our country, we often think about it from acts of violence, the rape culture, the silencing and the muted voices of women. But we often do not look at the fact that the faces of poverty in our country is also women and girls. The theater of violence in our country is, to a large extent, enacted on black women bodies in particular, and generally on women. And in the global arena, the women, through patriarchal cultures and the justifications by religion, by cultural norms, but also by socio-economic distributions, undermine women and women's agency. So it's very important that universities, as partners to society, must resource society with those ideas, insights, and knowledge base that enables the policy systems interventions on gender-based violence to being resourceful, impactful, but also transformative. And
but are they doing that, Prof? Pardon me for jumping in. Are universities doing that, especially when you consider that we're also in a very frustrating time for many people who go to university to improve their socioeconomic prospects and then still also struggle to find work, and many have been left feeling, what's the point?
Yes, to some extent, universities have enabled through the formation or education that they proffer, especially women, but also majority of others. However, the processes that we need to entail is to ensure that the knowledge that is garnered within universities can find translation, but also we train students not only to look for jobs, but to creating jobs. And this is an area that the University of South Africa is quite committed to. For instance, we have a gender institute. We have set out an anti-discrimination unit which helps with policy analysis, budget analysis, but also other structural issues to empower women to ensure that they can assert themselves, articulate themselves, and claim freedom in a world and in a society where gender-based violence are quite entrenched. And one of the things I could say as a principal and vice-chancellor of the largest university in the country and in the continent, we also ensure that the access of universities is available to women who in the majority were marginalized or had limited access to higher education. We do so also in the recruitment of staff, of management, in order to balance the equilibrium, something to create an equilibrium in a society that has never been able to deal with gender equality, gender justice, but also social justice as imperatives in higher education.
And the women who work in those spaces still feel that one of the other things we could do better is put more money and more resources towards research and other elements that they could then lead in order to better understand where we are and generate new solutions, perhaps.
Yes, definitely, Tembekile, you're right. The resources in research support, the resources in ensuring that we create an enabling environment for women to work, to lead, to express their talents, and also to shape their ideas as a principal and vice-chancellor myself, despite leading the university, it's a well-known fact that I contend with disrespect, with violence, with threats to violence, or even threats to rape. And it's very important that society must not keep quiet when women, whether in positions of leadership or even those who are not in leadership, must ensure that the ground for our work is allowed to flourish instead of threats and violence and undermining of the leadership of women. And therefore, I've tried to ensure that in a university that I lead, that we create enabling environments for both men and women in order that the success of our university and of our country, given that we do not just exist for ourselves as universities, we exist for societies within which we articulate knowledge production, research, innovation, and the formation of our students as participants in the socio-economic and political structure. So we need to ensure that we give women voice, we don't mute it, and we create solidarity, and men become allies in changing the cultures of violence in our society. The other aspect that is not often spoken about, Tembekile, is also the fact that gender is not just about men and women. Within the LGBTQIA plus communities, there are expressions of genders. There are men who are looked down upon or treated badly. There are women who are treated badly using gendered lenses. And it's very important that even as we think about gender and transformation and protecting ourselves from violence, that we also are able to see the intersectionality or the interlinkages of race, ethnicity, sexuality, place of location, and also of economic location. Because majority of people do not express themselves because they are undermined because of those key signifiers.
I'd like to come back to that point in a moment, but you began by then referencing your own experience, saying you've been subject to threats. You also mentioned the undermining of leadership. I mean, anyone who's been following news reports in recent months will know that your time at the institution has not been without, shall we say, drama, because just recently you were, in fact, accused of behaving improperly to do with the refurbishment to your official residence as Vice-Chancellor. There were also allegations around your involvement. Were you not involved in a controversial contract for the procurement of laptops? Now, those who've criticized you would then say they want you held accountable and that it has nothing to do with the fact that you are A, black, B, a woman. Do you believe that?
Yes, it is very important, and I like this particular discussion, Tembekile. One, when we take leadership as women, we do not expect to be done favors. We expect to be appointed because we qualify, we are knowledgeable, and the work that we do in the best interest of the institutions that we lead. One, the people who criticize me and who have asked about whether I'm ready to lead as a woman, themselves cannot even read their own submissions in the institutions that they represent society in. And therefore, why do men have, especially underqualified men, have the audacity to hollow out the talents of women whom they do not agree with? The second aspect is that when I joined the University of South Africa, on my second month, we were called to the Portfolio Committee of Higher Education because the university had not been complying on its enrollment management systems and therefore implying challenges for the distribution of national financial aid system. In 2021, the year in which I was appointed, Unisa complied with the enrollment management. In 2022, as I'm speaking to you, Unisa has complied with the enrollment management and therefore has not disadvantaged access and success, but also the distribution of resources for university. The second part, Tembekile, the laptops that people are talking about, no one is asking, did staff at Unisa have laptops to work with? I would categorically state majority of University of South Africa staff who joined in 2020, who joined in 2021 when I joined the university, did not have laptops. Nobody is saying anything about that. The second part is I'm being blamed for using policies or for just acting as though I do not understand the law and my accountabilities. The university laptops were distributed within approved processes of the university, the approved budget, the approved delegated authority, and no one has come forth to say what it was that was not in line with the compliance systems of the university. Thirdly, people are talking about 72 million that we have expended on the laptops. They're not talking about the 450 million that I and the management that I lead have saved the university for a 3-year contract that had been pitched at 650 million. And therefore, I, as a leader of a university, would like to be held accountable, but honestly accountable, not for 2 journalists in the whole country to wake up every morning writing about me on matters that they cannot take me to court for in order that I account for, or which they cannot come to the University of South Africa to ask me for so that I can give them the report. So I'm not going to allow anyone to besmirch my character by using public platforms when they know the machinations of dishonesty that they are participating in. And I will lead Unisa as a woman, confident and content with the decisions that we take and ensuring that they are taken within the law. Mamuketi, again, a B-rated professor at UCT. When she led the UCT, she was told she was underqualified and whatever. And I'm talking about a National Research Foundation Vice-Chancellor, a researcher in our country. Professor Mutwa at Nelson Mandela University. When she started as a Vice-Chancellor, there were noises that she was just a doctor, that she was not a professor. And yet she has led the Nelson Mandela University into greater heights and did not listen to the noise. I take strength from leaders such as them, the forebears in the leadership of higher education, of women who are resilient, honest, lead with integrity, and ensure that they do not violate the laws of the land in their leadership. And that's what I'm doing.
So to be clear then, Professor, you're saying that every single action that you have taken since your appointment last year has been in accordance with the law and above board?
Yes. And it's very important that those who are saying our actions, our decisions, and our leadership have not been above board to give evidence to that. Because the students, the staff, and those who I lead with understand the decision systems of the university, the statutory committees that I account to. They understand the systems and policies of the university. I cannot account to some concocted report that has not even been presented to myself to engage with. I cannot account to journalists about the leadership and management of the University of South Africa. I cannot also take responsibilities for being blamed for things I have no role in playing in. And I'm not going to waste my time, my leadership, and the work of the university in accounting to the public and to the people who are intent in besmirching my character. I'm not going to waste the university and societal time on that, but I will ensure that compliance, I hold people accountable as I would like the statutory responsibilities within my university to holding me accountable.
Professor Puleng LenkaBula was unfortunately out of time. Thank you so much for speaking to us on Newzroom Afrika.